I got uninvited from my sister's wedding because my waiter job would embarrass the governor's golf buddies. 3 hours into the reception, the bride, my sister, discovered I own the entire restaurant chain where she's been a hostess for 4 years. The open bar tab, the late-night taco truck, the string quartet, every dollar traced back to me. The lights stayed on, but the party ended the moment she realized who'd been paying her rent all along. My name is Ethan Caldwell, 32, Portland, Oregon. I live in a loft above a converted brick warehouse in the Pearl District, the kind of place where the freight elevator groans like it's personally offended by your groceries. Most mornings I wake before the alarm, pad barefoot across reclaimed oak floors, and brew coffee in a French press older than my first tax return. The ritual is sacred. Open the weather app, check the river level. Bike 10 minutes south to an unmarked glass door that reads only, WCB, employees only. Nobody in my family has ever seen that door. They still picture me in a black apron, dodging hot plates, scraping tips into a communal jar. I let them. Correcting the story felt like volunteering for a tax audit. I haven't spoken to my parents or my sister Lauren in 18 months. Not a text. Not a hope you're safe in the wildfire smoke voicemail. Nothing. The silence isn't petty. It's structural, like rebar poured after the frame finally cracked. 2 years ago, I was still wiring $2,800 every first of the month to cover the mortgage on their beige split level in Beaverton. 5 years, 60 payments, $168,000 total. I kept the spreadsheet because numbers are honest when people aren't. It started the winter I turned 27. Dad's hours at the mill got slashed to part-time. The union rep said global market pressures, like that explained the furnace coughing black soot into the hallway. Mom called from the landline, voice thin as the December light. Just until spring, Ethan. The bank's threatening foreclosure. I was pulling 60-hour weeks launching location 14 in Bend, sleeping in my car between investor calls, but I set up the auto draft anyway. Spring slid into summer, into another winter. Lauren graduated with a hospitality degree, landed a hostess gig at my flagship downtown Portland location, and never once asked if she could pick up a shift to help Mom and Dad. I didn't resent the money. I resented the invisibility. Lauren was the sun. I was the shadow that paid the electric bill so the sun could keep shining. Her graduation photos still cycle on the living room digital frame. Cap, gown, honors stole, Dad's arm around her like she'd invented penicillin. My own diploma hung in the garage behind the lawnmower. When relatives asked what I did, Mom would smile tightly. Ethan works in restaurants. End of sentence. I paid for Lauren's study abroad in Florence, her LASIK, the $5,000 venue deposit for the wedding she was now planning in Boise. Every transfer came from an account labeled E. Caldwell Operating. So the statements my parents skimmed looked like another restaurant payroll. I told myself the secrecy was kindness. Really, it was camouflage. 6 months before the wedding, I blocked a week on the calendar, booked a non-stop from PDX to Boise, and reserved 10 hotel rooms for cousins flying in from Ohio. I texted Mom. I'll land Thursday night, stay through Sunday. Happy to help with setup, teardown, whatever. Dad called back within minutes. His voice carried the same flat authority he used when I was 12 and tracked mud across the carpet. Ethan, maybe sit this one out. I laughed, assuming it was a joke about my inability to tie a bow tie. I took the days off. I can inflate balloons, peel potatoes, whatever you need. A pause long enough to hear the refrigerator hum through the line. Lauren's fiancé comes from money. Real money. His parents golf with the governor. You showing up in a server's vest would throw the whole vibe. The words landed like a dropped tray, metal clattering, glass shattering, everyone pretending not to stare. I pressed the phone harder against my ear. I haven't worn a vest since I was 22. You know what I mean. People talk. Just send a check for the flowers like last time. I stared at the rain streaking my loft window. My reflection looked suddenly small, like a paper cutout pinned to gray construction paper. Dad, it's Lauren's wedding. I'm the brother of the bride. If you insist on coming, don't expect a seat at the family table. Click. The apartment went silent except for the tick of the wall clock I bought at a yard sale in 2014. I opened the banking app, scrolled to the scheduled transfer labeled Mom and Dad Rent, and hovered over cancel. My thumb trembled, not from rage, but from the sudden clarity of a man realizing the rope he's been climbing is tied to nothing. I didn't cancel that night. I waited. Waiting is its own kind of power. Wedding week arrived. I flew to Boise anyway, checked into an Airbnb under my middle name, James, after our grandfather who died before I could ask him if family was always this complicated. I spent 3 days watching my baby sister become someone else's priority. Lauren's Instagram stories glowed. Champagne rehearsals, monogrammed robes, a string quartet practicing pachelbel in the garden. No tag for me. No wish my brother were here. I refreshed the venue website and saw the final head count. 148. My RSVP had vanished like a deleted line item. Saturday, 4 p.m. The ceremony was perfect. White tent on the country club lawn. Peonies the size of softballs. Dad in a rented tux that strained at the shoulders. I watched from the parking lot through binoculars I bought for birding but never used. Then drove back to the Airbnb and ordered Thai food I didn't eat. The pad Thai sat congealing while I stared at the ceiling fan spinning lies about circulation. Reception started at 6. I showered, put on the charcoal suit I wear to investor meetings, and drove to the country club. The valet knew my Tesla. I'd catered the club's New Year's gala 3 years running. He waved me through without asking for the ticket they'd mailed everyone else. Inside, the ballroom shimmered under crystal chandeliers. My location supplied the past apps, mini Dungeness crab cakes with yuzu aioli, truffle arancini that took the kitchen 3 test batches to perfect, prosciutto wrap date stuffed with goat cheese and pistachio. I slipped the event captain, Marcus, a $100 bill and asked him to keep the bar tab open until I said otherwise. Then I took a seat at a table marked staff overflow and waited, sipping club soda with lime like a man who still believed in second chances. Lauren spotted me first. She glided over in a dress that probably cost more than my first restaurant lease, smile tight as shrink wrap around a sandwich nobody wants. Ethan, what are you doing here? Supporting local business. I lifted a glass of the 2018 Willamette Pinot we'd added to the menu last quarter after I tasted it blind and bet my sommelier I could guess the vineyard. I won. Security started toward us, 2 ex-linebackers in ill-fitting tuxes. Lauren raised a manicured hand. It's fine. He's family. The word tasted like lemon rind left too long on the cutting board. Dad appeared next, face flushed from whiskey and pride. I told you not to come. I heard you. I stood. But the bride's meal is comped, and I wanted to make sure the kitchen executed. Lauren's fiancé, Preston, joined the circle. Wharton MBA, trust fund. The kind of guy who pronounces Pinot like it's a personality trait and orders the usual at places he's visited once. Wait. You work for the caterer? Something like that. Marcus approached, tablet in hand. Mr. Caldwell, we're at 87% of projected bar spend. Should I cut signature cocktails or keep the top shelf flowing? Every head swiveled. Preston frowned. Caldwell? As in West Coast Bistro's Caldwell. Marcus nodded like a man discussing the weather. Yes, sir. Mr. Caldwell signs the vendor checks. Also the payroll for the bride's day job. Lauren's bouquet slipped an inch. The peonies looked suddenly heavy. Ethan is the owner? Co-owner, I corrected. My partner handles California. I stay in Oregon. 23 locations. Last I counted. Dad's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Mom arrived late to the conversation, clutching a program like a life raft in a hurricane. But you said you were a server. I said I worked in restaurants. I turned to Marcus. Close the bar. Comp the dessert course, chocolate ganache tarts, the ones with the gold leaf. Then send the final invoice to my assistant. Mark it, family discount. Lauren's eyes filled. Not tears of joy. The mascara held, but the smile cracked like cheap plaster. You paid for everything? Flowers, string quartet, late-night taco truck with the burrito consomme you begged me to add to the menu last year. I Venmo'd the photographer this morning. $3, $200, non-refundable. I checked my watch. You've got about 9 minutes before the DJ announces last call. After that, cash bar. Preston recovered first, smoothing his lapels like a man who just realized the yacht belongs to the help. Sir, this is incredible. We'd love to have you at the head table. Seats taken by Uncle Richard, I believe. The one who still calls me busboy at Thanksgiving. I smiled the way I do when a health inspector asks for bribes. Enjoy the evening. I walked out past tables of cousins who used to slip me $5 to clear their plates at Christmas. Nobody stopped me. The night air smelled like cut grass and regret. Sunday morning, my phone exploded. 47 missed calls, 23 texts, 3 voicemails that escalated from confusion to panic. Mom's trembled. The club won't release the final bill until you sign. Preston's parents are furious. Please, Ethan. Dad's was clipped. Call me. Now. Lauren's text was a single ASR line. You ruined my wedding. I brewed coffee, opened the spreadsheet, and deleted every line item labeled family. Then I blocked the numbers. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of space I'd never been allowed to occupy. 6 weeks later, an eviction notice appeared on my parents' door. The landlord, my holding company, Cascade Property Holdings, hadn't received rent since the auto draft stopped. Mom called from a neighbor's phone. Mrs. Patel says we have 30 days. Where will we go? I let it ring. Lauren showed up at my loft unannounced on a Tuesday night, mascara tracks down her cheeks like tire marks on wet pavement. She wore the same hoodie she'd stolen from me in high school. I got fired. The regional manager said I created a hostile work environment by trash-talking the owner to staff. She laughed, bitter as burnt espresso. I didn't know the owner was you. I offered her water. She declined. I'm sorry, she whispered. I should have asked where the money came from. I just assumed. You assumed right. I could afford it. Question is why I kept paying after you stopped seeing me. She left without another word. The hoodie stayed on the couch like a ghost that couldn't decide whether to haunt or apologize. Thanksgiving came. I catered for the office staff, 40 employees, 3 turkeys, bottomless pumpkin pie with hand-whipped cream. My phone stayed silent. No, where are you? No gravy emergencies. The quiet tasted like freedom earned one unpaid bill at a time. Last month, Dad emailed from a Gmail address I didn't recognize. Subject: Olive branch. Body: your mother's blood pressure is through the roof. The house needs a new roof. We can't afford Cobra without your job. $3,000 a month would keep us afloat. You owe us that much after everything we gave you. I forwarded it to my attorney with one line: draft a lease to own at market rate. If they sign, proceeds go to a local women's shelter in Mom's name. They haven't replied. Sometimes I drive past the Beaverton house on my way to the coast. The lawn's brown. The mailbox overflows with flyers for pizza places I don't own. The for sale by owner sign went up last week. I don't slow down. I used to think family was a debt you paid forever, interest compounding in silence. Turns out it's a subscription. You can cancel when the content stops adding value. I still keep the spreadsheet. Column A, date. Column B, amount. Column C, recipient. Row 61 is blank, and it will stay that way. The cursor blinks like a heartbeat I finally control. People ask if I miss them. I miss the idea of them. The parents who would have bragged about their son the chef. The sister who'd have texted a photo from the head table with the caption, "Couldn't do this without you." The reality never existed. It was a menu item I kept comping long after the kitchen closed. So here's the question I still turn over at 2 a.m. When the city's quiet and the river keeps its own counsel, was I wrong to let the bar tab close on the one night they needed me most? I fed them for 5 years, rent, flowers, tacos, dreams. They starved me of respect for 32. If you've ever been the family ATM with an empty thank you card, tell me, was hitting pause cruel or just overdue? Because the tip jar's finally labeled with my name, and for the first time, I'm keeping the change. I'm Ethan Caldwell, and the house lights are mine to dim.